All right, welcome back to DBTalks Football Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the Champions League phase finale, Matchday 8. And honestly, it was pure chaos. There was 18 games happening at the same time, and there was massive news coming through with Real Madrid crashing out of the top 8, Benfica's goalkeeper scoring the 98th minute winner or to get them back into the top 24, and then also Barca surviving a first half scare, and then Napoli getting sent home by Chelsea, and of course Arsenal finishing a perfect league phase, going 8 for 8 on wins. But yeah, we're going to be breaking down all the madness from the UCL final league phase match day, and then we're going to look at who made the top 8 and who's stuck in the playoffs, and unfortunately who's out of Europe completely. So yeah, let's get into it. So obviously, this league phase, there were 36 teams, and the top 8 go straight into the round of 16 with the second leg at home, because that's a benefit of finishing the top 8. And then the teams from 9th to 24th, they go into a knockout playoff, which is a two-legged tie to reach the round of 16. And then, of course, the 25th to 36 teams, they just out of the UCL for the season. But yeah, going into the match day 8, I mean, as you mentioned before, there was a lot of teams. I think there was 8 or 9 teams that were tied on 13 points. So, there was a lot of opportunities for teams to finish in the top 8 and, either go in or in the round of 16 or go into the playoffs. But also there was a lot of teams fighting for the top 24, including Benfica, Marseille, Napoli, and Copenhagen. So there were a lot of teams competing to get those high spots in the Champions League to even qualify. But I mean, yeah, let's transition into how the night ended, and we'll quickly cover the actual results at the end, and then we'll quickly look at the actual games. So I mean, look at the top 8 at the moment. Arsenal are first, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Tottenham, Barca, Chelsea, and Sporting, and then City are in the top 8. So there's a lot of English teams, and it just shows that at the moment it feels like the Premier League is the best league in the world. And yeah, most of the teams in the Premier League did really well in the UCL league phase, and even Arsenal finished with a perfect record, so that's pretty impressive. And then from 9 to 16, we see Madrid, Inter, PSG, Newcastle, Juventus, Atletico Madrid, Atalanta, Bayer Leverkusen. So a lot of teams, a lot of big teams finishing in that kind of zone. And then from 17 to 24, we see Olympiacos, Club Brugge, Galatasaray, Monaco, Karabag, Bodo Glimt, Benfica. And I think, sorry, there's one more team, but yeah, there's a lot of teams in that section too.
Dortmund, even
Dortmund. Oh yeah, Dortmund. Yeah, Dortmund's in there as well. So yeah, still a lot of teams in there, but it's gonna be interesting to see who ends up playing each other in the knockouts to get to the round of 16. And yeah, notable teams that got knocked out of the UCL already. Marseille, I think they were actually doing well at the start, but unfortunately they've been knocked out, and they didn't really do well at the end. Napoli, who finished 30th. Bilbao, honestly, I expected them to do a bit better. Frankfurt, disappointing as well. And Villarreal, my biggest disappointment, because finishing 35th in the Champions League group phase is really, really disappointing to see. But I mean, yeah, let's go to the first game. We're going to cover the Barca game first. But actually, if you want to just start off.
Okay, yeah, so, going to the game, I think it was a pretty big game because, with everything going around, the Barca definitely wanted the top 8 to, not play extra games because, as you know, someone like Pedri, who's injured, he's such a crucial part for the team. So going to play extra games in the UCL, I think it kind of felt unnecessary to do for Barca when there's a chance to get top 8. So, Barca wanted to fight hard to get the top 8, and there were a lot of ways, a lot of paths for Barca to get the top 8. I mean, a lot of it honestly relied on the results of the other games because, not just Barca winning versus Copenhagen, but also that be other results that to go Barca's way. Like, for example, I believe the PSG Newcastle game was a big game because both were in the top 8 before this week, and then whatever happened there, one of the teams probably would have been knocked down, so that gave Barca some some space to try to climb up. And there are a lot of other teams that were playing. I mean, there were a lot of teams tied on 13 points that Barca were at, like Sporting, Chelsea, Atalanta, City. So they had their fixtures as well. So a lot of it also came down to goal difference and just getting the win and seeing if other teams they draw or lose. So yeah, but the main focus was obviously win the game. And going to the game, I think missing Pedri and De Jong, Pedri due to injury and De Jong due to stacking up too many yellow cards. I think it's kind of nervous because When we watch Barca deploy other midfields, like for example, when we see like a Bernal Casado like a double pivot, usually it doesn't work as good. So missing Pedri and De Jong is very huge. But either way, I think Barca they troop on, and Barca has a lot of other good players as well, and a lot of difference makers that we'll probably talk about much more later on in the video. But going to lineup, so um I think it was pretty standard. The team, obviously we talked about De Jong and Pedri missing, so obviously the midfield had to be changed a bit. But besides that, it was pretty standard where João Garcia was the keeper, the fullbacks were Koundé and Balde. Then we see center backs Gerard Martin and Kubarsi as the center back pairing. Then in the midfield, that's where you see some change. So Eric played in the midfield, so usually he does play in the midfield when he's not playing like any other position like a center back or a right back. He's also like he played as a midfielder, so he was there along with Olmo and Fermin, who made up that the midfield trio. Where I feel like in this trio, like Olmo is not really a DM, so I feel like he wasn't really given that type of role in the game. I kind of saw it where him and Fermin they're kind of moving around a bit, and yeah, Fermin started, and then the front three, all pretty standard. Rafinha and Lamine Yamal, the wingers, and then striker Lewandowski because. I think Lewandowski, like he started the last few games due to Fran's injury, and then Fran was back today, but I don't think he was. I don't think he would have started anyways coming off the injury. So yeah, that was the standard. That was the 11, and I think it was a pretty good 11, like the best 11 that Barca could have used to go into the game, and yeah, it was pretty exciting.
Yeah, and also like with this whole league format, like the final match day, I mean, keeping track of all the games was actually really crazy because there were so many goals, there were so many things happening at the same time. It was kind of hard to keep track, but at times I saw Barca out of the top eight, sometimes Barca back in the top eight. So yeah, it was really really exciting to see. I think maybe like spacing it out a bit, maybe having some of them like nine of the games happen midday and then the other ones happen after because like 18 games at once kind of felt like a bit too much and a bit overboard. But yeah, back to the Barca game. I mean, you mentioned we were obviously missing Pedri and De Jong, our two like best midfielders. So having Eric and Olmo play there kind of as a DM, I mean, obviously like when we went into the game, it wasn't looking nearly as solid as we normally have it, and we could see that in that first half we were really struggling in our midfield. And I mean, yeah, going to this game, I mean, obviously we needed to win. You know, getting big goal difference would send us to the top eight directly, and a loss or draw could have sent us to, or could have sent us to the unseeded playoffs, or where we have to play two extra games. So again, it was really really important to win this game by a big goal difference. But I mean, going to that first half, like that first goal that they scored 4 minutes into the game, and Copenhagen again, we've seen so many times this season that Barca go into a game and they concede early, or they give easy chances away, like right away in the game, and then we start to pick up in the second half. But again, I feel like that's a problem because in the later parts of this tournament, when you can't always be dependent on the second half and trying to pick up the performance from there. I feel like we have to really focus on like starting games better and getting the advantage early. But again, yeah, not the performance I was looking for in that first half, because that first half we easily conceded the first goal, and again, like really really poor defending. It was really like honestly too easy for them to score the goal, and again, just like a simple through ball, and then he's through. 17-year-old, by the way, Dodson, I think he's called. But yeah, he's 17 years old, and he scored his goal against Barca. Again, yeah, I think that's a big defensive mistake from Barca's end, and I feel like that could have been again really like prevented. But other than that first half goal, I mean, really nothing happened for Barca. I mean, again, there was lots of chances. Like there's the crossbar, there's a post. I think again, it felt like the Sociedad game where we were creating so many chances, but none of them were going in, especially in that first half at least. And then again, going to the second half, I think Flick realized that this is such a crucial game to win, and we really have to turn it around. But yeah, what were your thoughts on that first half at least?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, like in the first basically the first 4 or 5 minutes, Barca concede, and I think it was a pretty sloppy goal to concede. I mean, it came off like a Koundé pass that didn't go in the right place, and then Eric didn't really get the ball, and then they got a pass off and a good finish. And yeah, I just think I think we talked about this pretty frequently in the podcast, how Barca concede so early, and how a lot of it comes from maybe like a lack of concentration and focus in the starting minutes, where Barca aren't really into the game right at the start, which can be a pretty huge disadvantage. As a lot of times we see Barca just concede or just give away such a good chance to the opposition where they're close to scoring. So that's not really a good thing to have. And, as a team, I feel like if you're going down so early, it's not like always the case where you can come back or come back from it. Usually Barca does, but I feel like there's some games that it may not happen, and if that's the case, it can be a big punishment. But yeah, moving on. I mean, in the entire first half, I feel like Barca were very close. Honestly, I think Barca were very good at holding possession and stuff, but at the same time, I feel like the chances created were just out converted, and I feel like it was just hard for Barca to score. I think Copenhagen were pretty hard to break down a bit. I feel like a lot of the chances Barca created weren't good enough, and they're kind of hard to convert. So I just think it was a lack of conversion and creating very good chances and breaking down the defense from Barca's end, because I felt like possession wise Barca were kind of good at it, and I think a lot of players were good at just holding the ball and just trying to create something, but I feel like nothing too good came out of it. And on the other side, I think Copenhagen were honestly also a bit threatening. I feel like I noticed in a lot of the games where Barca hold in possession, the counterattacks that the opposition they have, a lot of the time it's just very scary, and I feel like a lot of the times it's just more threatening than what Barca create, and I feel like that's just, I think it goes to show just how weak Barca just are to counters, and how it's been over half of the season, and we've seen this even last season as well, where Barca are so weak on the counter that it hasn't really changed. Barca aren't as good as defending counters as they were today than compared somewhere last season. I feel like that's just not something that has been improved well enough. And I mean, even though Barca didn't concede after that first goal, I think that in a game like this, we're just there's kind of some stake into it. And I feel like with Copenhagen, they were just outside the top 24, so obviously they wanted to get the points and to qualify, so they had some hunger in them. But I feel like it was too risky the way Barca played, where I feel like the chances were good enough and just no goals were coming out of it, even though there were a lot of close chances. I know Rafinha had a close chance. I believe Lewandowski had that one-on-one chance that he just hit right at the keeper. So I feel like Barca just didn't do well enough in getting the goals and just converting the chances that were created. But I still feel like Barca could have done much better on the chance creation. I feel like Lamine was good at trying to create something. I really love his creativity. How he's very good at just dribbling, and his passing and playmaking I think is elite. I think he's definitely one of the better players at Barca. So yeah, I feel like the first half, I won't say anything too crazy came out of it, because I just think there's a lack of the Hansi Flick type of Barca that scores all the goals and has huge intensity. I feel like that wasn't really that present in the first half.
Yeah, and then I mean, right away, Flick made an immediate substitution for Eric Garcia. He came off. I feel like Eric had a honestly pretty bad game, but again, I didn't expect him to get subbed off, because I'd expect Flick to either move him to center back or something, or right back even. But again, yeah, Eric was taken off at halftime, and I think one of the biggest game changers for us came on at halftime. Marc Bernal. I think Marc Bernal had a really good cameo. I think that 45 minutes that he played, I think he honestly changed the game for us. I think having him an actual midfielder in sitting in our midfield, I think he actually changed our game plan. But yeah, right away we saw the difference. I mean, that first goal, the Yamal goal. The Lewandowski goal. I mean, what a goal that was. Again, great play. I think Daniel Olmo also had a really good game today. That through ball to Lamine Yamal, again, I haven't seen much of that. I think I want to see more of that, because I think Olmo obviously has that capability to play that kind of pass, and obviously Yamal, I want to see him run on past his man more. But again, great goal, Olmo with a beautiful pass to Yamal, and then again, I expected initially Yamal to shoot it, but I think he took a heavy touch, and then I think smartly he passed it over to Lewandowski, who had a tap in to score. And then again, yeah, that goal was again really, really good. But at that point, I feel like we really picked it up. I think again, whenever we score that first goal, I think it really makes it easy for us to create more chances and more goals. But yeah, then we head into that second goal where the Yamal scored that deflection kind of goal. Again, I feel like it was kind of lucky, but I feel like we did deserve it, because there were so many chances that we created in that second half and especially that first half that we deserved the win. But again, Yamal, again, he we know that he can be the difference maker for us, and I think this game was actually one of his best again for the season because he was directly involved in like a lot of the plays that we made, and again he was like dribbling really well, creating so many chances, and I feel like that goal again he had that confidence in himself to kind of shoot from there. And luckily again, you can say that he had that deflection to go into the goal. It's kind of similar to that Atletico Madrid goal where he scored kind of deflection like that, similar. So again, credit to him. I think great game from him. And then we move on to the third goal, the Rafinha penalty. I think this was actually fortunate for us because Lewandowski initially, I think it was a great play, but he kind of misses the ball and kicks it and kind of, I guess, falls over and calls for foul. And I mean, looking at the replay, I mean, honestly, I don't really see the penalty fully because, again, I feel like it's a really soft touch on from the defender on Lewandowski. I feel like Lewandowski does make the most of it, but I mean, we won't complain. We got the third goal, Rafinha with a nice penalty. I think that's really good to see because I do feel like Rafinha should be our number one penalty taker because he seems so reassured within himself, and I feel like with Lewandowski recently, he's missed a couple pens for us. So I think it's the best thing for Rafinha to keep taking our pens. But yeah, the fourth goal, the final goal, Rashford's goal. I mean, obviously he came on the 70th minute, but I mean, yeah, what a goal! That's I think our only second free kick after like since Messi's left. So another great direct free kick from Rashford. I mean, we've seen like in the UCL especially, like he's been a great difference maker for us as well. You know, we've seen him be actually really good at free kicks in his time. But again, I feel like yeah, again, really good goal from him. But I mean, closing up this game, I feel like we did well. I think there was still a lot of chance for Copenhagen to score, but I do think we did much better in that second half. I think that the second goal that Copenhagen scored was actually ruled out, but again, yeah, I think it was offside because one of the attackers blocked our defenders from like taking away that shot. But again, I think it was chaotic, but a great game for Barca overall. And the most important thing is that we reached the top eight and especially top five.
Yeah, so talking about the second half, like you mentioned with the goals, I think there were all four of the goals. Well, I guess I want to mention specifically that the first one I think was very very good. It was a great goal to get back into the game. Like you mentioned, Olmo did well there. I think Lamine was very very good there, and he got a very good assist where he was able to dribble and find a way to get a good pass off to Lewandowski to get a pretty simple goal. And I think that goal just brought all the momentum, and I feel like we noticed in recent games, like a lot of games recently, that Barca may not have a strong start in the first half, but the second half, Barca really turn up and like they play much better. So I feel like we see it like a big change in like the way the team plays from the first half to the second half. And the second goal, I feel like that goal was just a case of like individual brilliance by Lamine, even though like it was a deflection goal. I feel like just the way he shot it, yeah, I think he really wanted to test the keeper, and he thought he could have gone top in. So he took the shot, and he was able to get a goal out of it, even with the deflection. He still got the goal, and it was a very very cool goal to see live. And yeah, I just feel like with Lamine Yamal, I feel like he's like one of the players that has like probably the most like individual brilliance, like has that impact where like he can create something out of nothing, and I think that was just an example of that. Even with the first goal, the assist, I feel like he also like he created most of that goal. So I just feel like Lamine was super good today on his creativity and like his playmaking and just his risk taking as well, because he always loves to take risks and loves to try new things, and he's able to use that to make a positive outcome for Barca and trying to get the goal or something out of it. So I feel like that just very well worked from him. And with the third goal, I'll be honest, personally, I feel like it wasn't a pen. I feel like it was a bit too soft to give it a pen. I feel like honestly part of the reason I feel like a lot of pens are given, even though it's kind of soft, is just like it creates like chaos, and I feel like in football that's what the fans want to see. So I feel like sometimes being refs, like even if it's a bit soft, I feel like they sometimes just give it out of like chaos, and like I don't know, personally I feel like it was a bit soft to give a pen, but I Barca still got the pen anyways, and Rafinha converted, so it was a very nice pen from him. And yeah, just the whole second half, I feel like Barca played well. Like you mentioned, the Bernal sub. I think I even mentioned before the game that I wouldn't mind like Bernal starting with some like Eric or even like Olmo. I feel like Bernal I think he's played. I think he's still a solid player where I think he can put in a solid performance. So I have some trust in him. And yeah, just throughout the whole second half, I feel like Barca just played well, much better than the first half. And he seemed more threatening. I feel like Barca were better at holding onto the ball. I think Olmo, like you said, I think he had a good game. I think a lot of the players just had a solid game. And then talk about the free kick with Rashford, where it was a very very cool free kick. I mean that angle and like the way he shot it was very nice. And like you mentioned, it was the second free kick since Messi's free kicks. I think the last one was Ferran, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe it was. Yeah, I think it was versus. Was it versus Batiste or Baroka? I don't really remember exactly. I believe he got a hat trick in the free kick game. But moving on. Rashford had the free kick, and I think I mentioned before the podcast. I think we all know that Rashford's very good at set pieces, like in corners and even free kicks. Like even the free kicks, he's usually very close. So I feel like he's very threatening on that, like that end where it's good to have a player like that who's threatening on set pieces. I feel like a lot of teams can benefit off someone like that who can just make an impact off set pieces, and he's a very big impact player off the bench. So I feel like as a sub, I think when he was starting and the first few months of the season, he was very good in producing GA and like making impact. And I think he's been doing the same thing off the bench, where he's also producing GA and just helping Barca. So I feel like fans should appreciate him a lot more because he's still also just a lone player, and we don't really know if he's gonna sign permanently for Barca. So just enjoy him while he's still at the club. I feel like he's a big impact player. But yeah, like I said, the second half I think was pretty satisfying. And look at the other results at this meantime, like in the UCL. I feel like a lot more relief because a lot of the results were actually, for example, I believe Atalanta were losing, and Sporting were losing, and what else was there? Madrid were like kind of losing to Benfica as well, and then Atleti were losing, I believe, and then PSG and Newcastle were drawing. So a lot of the teams that were tied with Barca at points were actually losing. I believe Chelsea had a point were also losing. So they were all going down, and Barca are kind of like in the top 8. And I feel like with the goal difference, Barca felt more secure, especially because they were like as time was going, a lot of the teams were just down. So I feel like it would be kind of impossible for them to go above Barca. So I think Barca were pretty locked in the top 8 in like 20 minutes before the game ended. So I feel like that was just a relief as well. And yeah, I mean Copenhagen. I don't think Copenhagen are like a easy team or anything. I feel like they're still like a team in the UCL that can surprise moments. They have some good players. They have talent. Rooney was one of them as well. And they were close to getting a second goal, but like I said, it was disallowed. And they had some pretty threatening chances. I mean, I remember one chance. I forget what half. I think it was first half or second. I honestly don't remember, but there was a chance where they're almost 1-on-1, and I think if the player passed it to the guy next to him, they probably would have scored, but he didn't, and he lost the ball to it. I think he just lost the ball. So, yeah, I just think overall, I mean, I think it was a good game from Barca. I think, just looking at the players, I think the person who impressed me the most was easily Lamine Yamal. I feel like I believe he has 8 goals and 8 assists produced in the UCL in his career, which at 18 is super impressive. I feel like not many players honestly get that like GA in the UCL and in their entire career, and for him to do that at this age is honestly insane. I mean, we're witnessing like a generational talent, and yeah, he's just super amazing for Barca. I feel like with the lack of Pedri and De Jong, it was kind of worrying to see how Barca will play, because I feel like the midfield is one of Barca's main strengths, just below the attack, because I think the attack is just super effective, but the midfield is also as equally important, I think. And losing 2 players like that, who I believe are I think they're both like amazing players for Barca, and Lamine being able to kind of fill in, being able to just get the win. I think he kind of carried the win a bit, like just with the individual brilliance. I feel like a lot of it just was created off of him, and yeah, I think he would be my MVP, and that's what he got. He got the UCL man of the match. So I think it's his second man of the match in his career. So yeah, I just think super impressed by him. I feel like the team overall, I think did a good job to get the top 8. And I think Barca, all the Barca players should just be proud of themselves. I feel like it's a good accomplishment for going top 8 back to back, and just being relieved to go in the knockouts. And I think Barca have to wait for the draw to see like I think there's like 2 the possible teams, because I know there's 4 right now, but I think when the draw happens, there'll be like two confirmed. So yeah.
Yeah, with this important result, obviously Barca finish, they jump up to fifth in the table. So we are going straight to the round of 16, so that's good to see. But again, at that first half, it was kind of scary to see us being 1-0 down because we've known that, at times in the UCL, we've kind of fumbled games where we need to win and stuff like that. So again, thankfully, I did predict a 4-1 win. But yeah, it's good to see that in the second half, again, we picked up. But the main thing I want to see from this team is, starting off the game on the best hand. I feel like, always starting off like poor, I think is going to catch up to us in the later stages of the UCL. I think, again, when you do face a better team in that first half, they might take more of an advantage, and to the point where we can't even come back in the second half. So again, really important for us to start off the games like better. But yeah, I mean, Copenhagen, who did need a win to sneak into the top 24, they actually fall all the way to 31st, and they are out of the UCL. So again, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Barca, because in the round of 16, they are like, now they are going to be playing either PSG, Newcastle, Monaco, or Karabag in the round of 16. So honestly, either of those four teams, we can. I think three of them. Obviously, Monaco we've lost in the past. Newcastle we beat this season, and obviously we have a history of PSG, but also Karabag. Honestly, we can't underrate them because I feel like they have had a couple of really good results in the UCL league phase. But yeah, those are the four teams that we could possibly play in the round of 16. So that's going to be interesting to see as well. But similar to you, I'd give my man of the match for this game to Lamine Yamal. I just think he was the best player on the pitch, and I feel like he did carry us to that win today. But yeah, let's move on to another big game. Honestly, one of the best games I'd say from today. Maybe it's a bit biased, but because I'm a hater. 4-2 Benfica Madrid. Honestly, what a crazy game. I was watching parts of this because, at times there was times where Madrid was actually losing, so I was kind of tuning in and out of this game. But again, there was just so many games to like keep track of. But I mean, obviously in that first half, we saw Mbappe get his goal, and then Benfica equalize. I mean, going into this game, I actually predicted Madrid to win. Obviously, before this game week, they were actually already in the top eight, and all they needed to do was either even get a draw or just get a win to secure themselves the top eight. But yeah, I didn't really expect Benfica to win like this. I mean, Mourinho, you can never doubt. But again, it was really surprising to see them win. Obviously, Mbappe getting his brace, I think he's been like the main person for Madrid this season. Whenever they need him, he kind of shows up for them. And I mean, obviously, he was kind of let down today. But again, I mean, players from Benfica to look out for. Obviously, Sheldrup, we've seen him have a couple of good games against us last season. And obviously, last season, we beat Benfica 3 times out of 3. And especially including that 5-4 crazy game in the group stages. But again, yeah, crazy team to go against. You can never underestimate them. And then also Prestiana, I want to mention because he won that initial penalty that was ruled out. But again, I feel like Prestiana is one of those youngsters that kind of you can look out for, because obviously he comes from Argentina, but at 19, I feel like he has done well in his career so far. And I feel like soon he could make a big step in his career. So he's one to look out for. And obviously Pavlidis, he got a goal and 2 assists in this game. So again, he's known to like be a major part of Benfica's attacking threat. But again, I mean, looking at the game itself, I think in that first half, obviously 1-1, and in the second half, or sorry, 2-1, because Pavlidis scored a pen later in the half. So Madrid were losing in the half, and it was kind of surprising to see. But yeah, going to that second half, I expected Madrid to come back and possibly win this game. But I mean, that didn't actually happen. We obviously saw Benfica go 3-1 up. I mean, Sheldrup getting his second goal, getting a brace, and that was surprising to see. And then also, then we saw Mbappe get his second goal, 3-2, and at that point it was like, either Madrid were going to draw this game and maybe even just save themselves a bit, or essentially go for the win. And then yeah, it was 3-2 and nearing the end of the game. But the main thing that even if Benfica won, the thing is that their goal difference wasn't enough to sneak them into the top 24. And that's why in the 98th minute, we saw Trubin, the goalkeeper, go up and try to score. And I mean, crazily, he actually did score. I mean, this is one of the craziest moments in the UCL this season so far. I mean, a goalkeeper scoring, I haven't really seen that since Alisson for Liverpool. And, Trubin, I mean, that was a really good header from him, to be fair. And I mean, just yeah, honestly, a crazy moment for Benfica fans and the club in general, and obviously Trubin because he actually saved Benfica from getting knocked out of the league phase, and they end up finishing 24th exactly. And just crazy overall moments for them. But again, yeah, Josh, thoughts on this game?
Yeah, so I was keeping up with the score. I was primarily watching the Barca game, but I was keeping up with the score on the side, and yeah, I mean it was a pretty crazy game, a lot of goals, and Madrid were leading with Mbappe, and then Benfica were scoring goals and coming back, and it was like eventually 3-1, and it was looking pretty dire for Madrid, and then Mbappe scored again, and then it was 3-2, and then I was actually able to watch the last few minutes, and I saw the Asensio red card, and I saw the Rodrigo red card, which I thought was it's kind of crazy. I feel like now that they're knocked out of the top 8, I feel like losing those two could maybe have some effect on their future games. But yeah, it was a very chaotic last minutes, and then we saw the Trubin goal. I saw it live with my friend who he's also a Madrid fan, and we just watched it. And then when I saw him at the when I saw him leave the net, I was a bit worried because I thought that if something happens, then Madrid would have an open net, which could probably get them into top 8. But then I also realized that Benfica needs this goal because otherwise they're knocked out. So it made sense. And then when I saw the free kick happen in the goal, I was honestly so surprised. I was honestly so surprised because that's such a huge moment for a keeper who
No, a keeper that's in the world.
Sorry.
I said that's a worldy finish, especially on a supposed top 3 keeper in the world.
Yeah, I just mean that for a keeper, like keepers only have these moments. It's honestly very rare. So for them to have the opportunity, and I saw a post game about Mourinho where he said that he thought that Trubin was capable of this because a few weeks ago against Porto he was almost did it, and today he was actually able to do it. And against Madrid, who are a very big historic side. I mean, I think a lot of fans didn't expect it, and I think a lot of fans didn't expect Benfica to go out and win the game, but they were able to. Yeah, the Trubin goal, I feel like that'll be one of the more iconic goals this year in the UCL because I feel like just the stakes and what happened and just the fashion it happened in and against who it was against, I feel like it's just super big and it's such a big moment. So I feel like Benfica fans, congratulations. I feel like that's such a nice way to enter the UCL knockout qualifications. I feel like that's good momentum. I feel like Benfica, like you mentioned, or Jose Mourinho's, he's such a great manager. He's one of the best managers of all time, and I feel like having a manager like that. I mean, even though Benfica, I think the whole UCL they haven't been that impressive. I still feel like with that momentum and with Mourinho, who's pretty experienced in the UCL, I feel like they have some hopes to make like a decent run into the UCL.
Yeah, and again, that extra goal from Trubin, I mean, what a moment for him and Benfica fans, but that really knocks Real Madrid down to 9th, so they have to go in the playoffs. And again, I feel like Madrid really just fumbled this position they were in. And again, that goal also lifts Benfica back to 24th and into the playoffs on goal difference, and they end up pushing Marseille out of the playoffs. So, I mean, again, crazy goal. I think a goalkeeper scoring the 98th minute to keep his team in the Champions League is just honestly straight out of Hollywood. And again, Madrid getting knocked out of the top 8. I mean, I feel like that's just the best hate what we can see from a Barca perspective. But again, I just feel like Real Madrid are just not consistent enough. I feel like Mbappe does need like a supporting hand because it feels like at times it's only him and Courtois kind of saving Madrid in games. But again, like last game week they won 6-1, and then this one they lost 4-2 to Benfica. So I feel like if Madrid really do want to do well in the Champions League, they have to be much more consistent. But again, yeah, the red cards, I mean, they're going to be missing Asensio and Rodrigo in the playoffs, whoever they play. But the draw is going to be on Friday, so that's going to be interesting to see who they play. But there's also rumors that like later in the tournament, Benfica could play Madrid again. So that's going to be also interesting to see as a storyline. But let's move on to another important game. Let's go to Napoli 2, Chelsea 3. So, I mean, Napoli crashed out of the UCL because obviously I mentioned before they needed to win this game. So obviously not winning this game meant that they were not going to make it to the top 24. And honestly, like they've been disappointing in the Champions League, and I did expect like they could have made a late run to get into the top 24, but yeah, just really disappointing. Um, Obviously, Chelsea also needed this win because they wanted to also get into the top eight. But again, I think they did their job well, and I feel like certain players clutched up for them. But we do have Hatem joining us for this game. So Hatem, do you want to talk about the game?
Yeah, honestly, again, this is gonna sound like heavily biased, but this is obviously one of the best games in UCL. From everyone, like what, like all the neutrals in this game expect it to be like an end-to-end game, which it was. Honestly, two very like strong teams. Napoli, if I'm not mistaken, top three are they? Oh, I think they're fourth on just on goal difference alone in Italy. Again, Chelsea, I'm pretty sure as well in England, they are top five. Yeah, so two teams basically neck and neck in talent and skill and everything going to settle who's going to make it. For Chelsea, this was a must-win game to get top six. And for Napoli, this was a must-game win to get round of 16 qualification. So this game meant a lot for both sides. Just to start it off, right off the bat, we had that Enzo pen. Just to quickly clarify, it was Reece James who won it. He took a free kick. The defender, for some odd reason, struck his hand out so he could block the free kick with his hand. Honestly, I respect that. If Reece James was taking a free kick in front of me, I would do my best to stop it as well. But yeah, easy conversion by Enzo Fernandez. The keeper almost got a touch on it, but it was just a perfect placement. And then for Chelsea, right after that penalty, oh my god, everything went to like crap. What was it? Right after we had Reguera, he had an app. If you guys have seen it, I don't know if you guys have watched back the highlights of the game.
Yeah, I saw the goal. It was pretty crazy. He like ran through all the
Yeah,
defenders.
he literally started at the half line. He got past Santos and Enzo, and then Caicedo, as great as he is as a holding midfielder, tried to make a tackle, but this guy was amazing with that dribble. Even Caicedo couldn't get a touch on him. Gusto made the mistake of the ball like threw on him, so it was Gusto's fault for this whole goal happening. But Fofana stepped up to try and stop him. Guerrera, I don't know how to fully pronounce his name, but he did a roulette basically around Fofana and then hit a worldy finish on Sanchez, which was honestly, in my opinion, goal of the game. Actually, it's debatable goal in the game. We'll get back to that later. So, and then right after, I think just 7 or 8 minutes right after, we had Hoyland score a goal. I'm pretty sure it was off. Was it a set piece? Yeah, the ball got kicked out to him right outside the box, and then he finishes it top left bins on Sanchez. So it was looking down for Chelsea. I'm pretty sure till halftime we were getting like absolutely battered. We needed to bring on another center back because James playing center back and Fofana and Kukurea were having two, I wouldn't say like disaster games, but they weren't playing at their best ability. And again, we had an out of position right back playing. We had an out of position center back. So it wasn't looking too good. And we subbed off Pedro Neto, which was an amazing substitution. I didn't think it would happen. Pedro Neto was disgusting in this game. Contributed absolutely nothing other than losing the ball. So we brought on Palmer, and that was really the only substitute change. So we
Wait, so
had
did Esteban play left winger from halftime?
yeah, he played on the left for
Oh.
a bit. Actually, no, I think it was Palmer on the left-hand side. I don't remember exactly if Esteban was playing on the left or right. I'd have to double check. But I saw Esteban on the right a lot. But anywho, Palmer came on, instant impact. I'm pretty sure, 10, I think it was 10 minutes, no, maybe 8 minutes after the substitution, he made a through ball for João Pedro to score that absolute worldy of a goal. Like I'm telling you, outside the box, weak foot, top left bins. I'm pretty sure he was like, it looked like it was an impossible angle to, and he hit that beautifully. We couldn't have asked for a better finish. As soon as that goal happened, Napoli, they looked a little rattled. They started like playing a little shaky out the back. Their pressing wasn't as sharp. They looked a little nervous. And then Palmer, like the magic he does again, did the exact same play make with Esteban and then back onto him. And then he made a through ball for JP. And then JP, like the player he is, perfect bottom left finish. And as soon as that goal happened, it was like out the water. Big ups to Chaluba. He got subbed in. He kept it nice at the back. Didn't concede any goal. James got shifted to right back, and he did an amazing job there. It was amazing actually seeing, because when Gusto was playing right back, he was the one that was like bombing up and down the wing. It's about more inverted. So it was Gusto playing like wing back almost, and we saw James pushing up a lot. So it was nice seeing James almost like reminiscing his like 2021 style of him playing wing back. Garnacho was disgusting. Honestly, he almost conceded. He almost helped lead an error to a goal on Lukaku of all people. Took a shot at what was it, Sanchez in like the 90th minute, was it? Which we almost lost at the end. Like for us, that would have been considered a loss. We would have had to play a round of 16 matches. But Sanchez, the amazing keeper he has, saved us. Honestly, forgiving him for any bozo mistakes he makes after this, because he just helped us so much. Honestly, man of the match, I have to give it to João Pedro. Although Palmer, brace of assist, instant impact as soon as he got subbed on. João Pedro, those 2 goals he scored were like so crucial for us. Couldn't have asked for two better finishes. So yeah, that was pretty much it. Other than and McTominay stinker, I had to talk about that. This guy today was disgusting. He faked. Well, yeah, he got like a little knocked up on the first tackle with Sanchez, but every single little contact he had, he kept going down. Like I kid you not, this guy for like a whole 3 minutes was down as soon as he got touched one time. A lot of these Napoli players were time wasting as much as they. Kind of crazy that we only got, I think it was in a halftime, only 3 minutes extra time, and for the 90th minute, I don't know, remember, I think it was 5 minutes. Yeah, disgusting with also the extra time, but we weren't gonna complain because we were up anyways. We're fine with not having that much extra time, considering how much time they were wasting. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I mean,
It
with
was an
this
amazing
game,
game.
I feel like amazing game from Chelsea to clutch up. I feel like it was really important for them to win to get into the top 8. And I feel like the difference maker, obviously, for you guys was João Pedro and Cole Palmer. I think Palmer coming off the bench in the 46th minute, I feel like getting 2 assists coming off the bench, I think he made a big change. And obviously, I don't know what's happened to João Pedro because he is picking up form. And initially, like, he's lost form where he was playing number 9, but I feel like there's something that's changed under Rosenier. I think he's doing much better. And I feel like, yeah, I saw one of his goals, that top corner goal. I mean, that's a great, crazy goal, crazy finish from him. But again, I feel like, yeah, him and Palmer really made a difference for you guys today. And it's going to be interesting to see what you guys do because similar to Barca, you guys are going to be like optionally playing the same 4 teams. It's either Karabakh, PSG, Newcastle, or Monaco. So, I mean, let's see which one of us gets the harder team. But, I mean, moving on, Brijesh, any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I'll mention a bit because even though I didn't watch it, I think just from an outside view, I think this is such an interesting game because like Keita mentioned, there's 2 pretty good for pretty big teams where Napoli have recently been doing well in like the Italian league, and there's a pretty interesting side where I think they're a pretty tough side. They have some pretty good players, and they have a good coach as well. And Chelsea, who they've been going through things this season, like some ups and downs, but he has some very good players as well, and the new manager, it's interesting to see how he's been doing so far with Chelsea. They've been, I believe, undefeated aside from the Arsenal game. So, yeah, I feel like just looking at the game, like I feel like it was really important, and obviously this also was one of the games that kind of factored into what teams were in the top 8, and would Napoli qualify for the knockout qualifying stage. So. A super big game, and even like before the game, there was like tension because I saw the news report that these 2 Chelsea fans were stabbed by these Napoli fans with a screwdriver. So, obviously, hopefully they speed recovery for them. Hopefully they are able to recover soon. And not that I think like that really had too much impact on the game itself. I feel like if anything, that's just like it's kind of sad moment, and I feel like that may raise like tension between the fans. I feel like. I notice a lot in like the UCLs, fans love to banter each other, but even sometimes it can get too extreme, and fans may involve in like physical altercations. I saw today with Copenhagen where they were throwing like beer and like stuff at Barca fans and stuff. So sometimes this tribalism gets too extreme. But, talk about the actual game. I mean, it's definitely impressive that Chelsea got the win, I believe there was some stat where Napoli didn't lose at home in the past. I forget how many games, but it was a pretty impressive record. So I actually thought Napoli would have had a strong result, but I guess Chelsea just showed that they're a good squad. They can beat these good teams. So congratulations to Chelsea fans. They got top base, so they can rest for a bit. And I guess also just talking about Palmer because I saw they got 2 assists, and I was watching back and I saw that he made some pretty good plays, and I think he made such a huge impact for Chelsea. So I think he's regaining form, and as long as Palmer regains form, I just makes Chelsea much better because he's definitely one of their best players. I think on his day he may be even their best player. Uh, I'm not. I mean, that's what I've noticed at least for the past few seasons when he's been at Chelsea at least. So yeah, I just think um, it was a pretty. This is probably one of the bigger games I think today, and I would love to watch it. But I feel like with this format, even though actually I love the format, I think my only issue is just the timings and like how a lot of games conflict with each other and are like airing at the same time. So I feel like if you try to watch multiple games at once, uh, you can lose your attention to like some pretty big aspects of the games like plays and stuff, and also at the same time you may even miss some of the games. So I feel like it's hard to watch, and I feel like the highlights don't always do justice to like the actual game.
Yeah, again with Palmer, I feel like he's been struggling with injuries so far, and there's also been rumors of him potentially leaving to go to United. I think that's been like fully like died down because I think Rosenier confirmed to himself like he's a secure player for Chelsea and he's not going to leave. But again, I just think Palmer getting 2 assists coming off the bench is going to be really important for Chelsea because he is one of the best players, most impactful players for Chelsea. But I feel like the major implication from this game is obviously Napoli going out of the UCL and Chelsea finishing the top eight. But moving on, let's go to the other games. Let's cover the English clubs. Obviously, Arsenal winning 3-2. I feel, Gyökeres scored that early goal, and then I didn't expect Kairat to actually score. I feel like Arsenal would keep a clean sheet, but obviously Arsenal did rotate a lot. Gabriel wasn't starting, and a lot of like important players weren't starting for Arsenal. But again, like Jorginho, ironically scores a penalty against Arsenal, and then obviously Havertz scores a goal, and then Martinelli. I don't know why this guy's crazy in the UCL. It feels like every game he's getting involved for Arsenal. So again, 3-1 at halftime. You'd expect Arsenal to routinely win this, but again, there was that one goal ruled out for Arsenal. It was about to be 4-1, but it was ruled out. And then again, surprisingly, Kairat Almaty make it 3-2. But again, it doesn't change anything. Arsenal stay perfect. They get perfect. They get 8 wins from 8, and they're top of the table. So yeah, no step-ups from them. But moving on to Liverpool, 6-0, a statement win, honestly, against Karabag. We've seen Karabag get a couple like shock results. Obviously, that draw against Chelsea, and I think they've got a couple other decent wins. But again, Liverpool getting a 6-0 win is kind of crazy. I saw Van Dijk got 3 assists, so that's actually also another crazy stat for him. And obviously, Ekitike and Salah and stuff scoring. I think Wirtz also got involved for a couple goals, so that was surprising to see. And it just feels like if Liverpool can pick up form in this part of the season, they could actually do well in the UCL because they do have a lot of classy players. And also, let's move on to so Liverpool, they secured third place and they have the top 8 spot, so they could do well in the round 16. Let's move on to City. I think also City needs to win this game because, like many other teams, they were tied on 13 points. And, Galatasaray, as I mentioned before in the preview, this is obviously never an easy game. And, you can never know what you can get with Galatasaray because they do have players like Sane and Osimhen who can make a difference. But again, I feel like this is how City usually play. I feel like this was a routine win for them. And obviously, Haaland getting a good goal for himself. I think he's been in poor form in recent times. And I feel like getting his goal is really important. And also Cherki getting his goal. So honestly, Brajesh, a lot of your agenda players getting goals in this game. Cherki and Haaland get their goals. And again, I didn't really watch too much of this game, but getting a clean sheet, I think, good game for City. Also, Doku got 2 assists before getting subbed off for an injury. So kind of unfortunate for him. But again, I think City, if they start picking up form, they could also be a major contender for the UCL because, again, like many other teams, they have a lot of classy players, world-class players. And then the final English club I'm going to cover before I can let Brajesh talk. Spurs winning 2-0 again. It's just surprising to see, honestly. I don't know how Spurs are doing so well in the UCL. They ended up finishing top 4 and, coming off that Burnley draw, coming off the West Ham loss, and then winning Dortmund 2-0, and then also winning against Frankfurt 2-0. I don't know how they're doing it, but it just feels like in the UCL somehow they find a way to win, like convincingly. Obviously, there's a Xavi Simons goal that was ruled out initially in their half, and then later in the half we saw Koulibaly and Solanke score. So again, great fixture. I mean, great result for Tottenham Spurs. I mean, finishing top four is actually surprising to see, and I feel like going to around the 16 is going to be interesting to see who they play. But yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on that, Brajesh?
Okay, so yeah, starting with the Arsenal game, I think Arsenal obviously have been super impressive in the UCL. They're the only team that's been undefeated, and so they make it 8 out of 8 wins. And I didn't watch the game honestly, but it's Gyökeres scored, just Creedy and Havertz also scored, so I feel like it's pretty surprising as well to see. And against Kairat, who haven't been pretty bad in the UCL, they're like last right now, I'm pretty sure, in like the table. So I feel it's kind of natural for Arsenal to just win the game. I thought even if with heavy rotation, I feel like they still have good enough players off the bench that would be able to get the win. So congrats Arsenal for getting first place in the league phase. And yeah, I don't have much to say for the game because I didn't even watch it, but I just think with Arsenal, I feel like they'll probably be one of the favorite teams to win the UCL. I believe we talked about this one of the previous episodes, but I feel like with Arsenal, I mean, personally for me, I don't really have them as one of my top favorites, even though they've been impressive in the league phase. I feel like there are a lot of scary teams in the UCL that I feel like can just upset certain teams. So I don't know. I feel like Arsenal right now, I'm not too convinced. I feel like some performances I've seen from them recently haven't been too consistent, I feel. So but moving on with City. I think the
Wait,
City.
just before you continue, I just feel like it's crazy to say that Arsenal aren't contenders for the UCL because I think they've been the most consistent team in the UCL itself. And yes, they came off the United loss, but I just feel like that's the biggest shock result from them. And obviously teams like Bayern and stuff, other contenders, that they've been shaky as well. So if they're not contenders, that's a bit crazy for me. It feels like agenda.
It's not. No, it's not. It's not. It won't be an agenda. I just feel like with the. I mean, looking at the last UCL, I feel like they outplayed Madrid for sure. I think Madrid played terrible, and Arsenal definitely got the better of Madrid in the 2 legs. But after that versus PSG, I feel like Arsenal fans will say they played better and stuff, but I think PSG got the deserved win. And honestly, I feel like watching Arsenal, I feel like at times, sometimes they don't play as well, and I feel like sometimes they can be reliant on certain things. Arsenal are known for set pieces as well, and I feel like I don't know. I feel like they're not too just better teams in the UCL that I think can get the better of them across 2 legs. I could be wrong. Anything can happen, honestly. But I feel like in the UCL, I feel like you see a lot of just surprise moments, a lot of different it's very unpredictable. I feel like a lot of teams right now in the UCL, I feel like can make a strong run, and I wouldn't be surprised if they can beat the higher end of teams. I feel like we've seen that a lot where just teams that may go into as favorites may just lose, and there may be a lot of upsets. So I feel like there's some teams that should just beat Arsenal, and that's why I don't have them as favorites. I feel like obviously people will have them as favorites because rightfully so, they've been one of the more consistent teams in the world, and in the UCL they're 8 for 8. But I feel like I prefer I think other teams I could see winning the UCL more likely than Arsenal. I feel like they're I don't know. I feel like with Arteta and all, I don't know if they have the right experience right now to win the whole UCL, the whole competition. Honestly, at the same time, I feel like that applies to a lot of other teams as well, because I feel like a lot of the players right now aren't really as UCL experienced. Even with Barça, I feel like even though Barça made the semifinals last season, I feel like a lot of players are too too experienced in those high pressure moments, because looking at the last semifinals, I feel like Barca kind of didn't do as well in certain aspects. I feel like that just led to Barca's losing. So I feel like Barca can definitely improve in that aspect. But one of the positives for Barca at least is that Hansi Flick's the manager, and he's a sextuple winning manager. So comparing that to someone like Arteta and their resume, I feel like Flick just he's a better manager in the UCL, and he's very good at knockout type formats usually, and he's undefeated in all his finals. But yeah, aside from Arsenal, unless you want to comment on something, I feel like that's what I'll have to say for the Arsenal game. But with City, I think the City and Galatasaray game, it was definitely one of the games where I thought could have been pretty fun, because I think the City are still a good team, and Galatasaray I think they have some good players, and I think they've been solid in the UCL so far. So I thought it would be pretty fun to watch, see how it plays out. I didn't watch the game personally, but when you look at the result, I think City got the win, and I think it was probably deserved. I think City definitely had a stronger team, and I think they're just a better team. So I think coming off like those strengths of like bad results from City in the league and even the UCL, like the loss against Bodo Glimt, I feel like City needed a good win to bring the momentum back on their side and to cheer up their fans and all. So both Haaland and Cherki scored. I don't have agendas against them. I just think that Cherki can be overrated at times. I feel like people give him many people hype him up too much for what he really is. I still think he's very talented, but I've seen people call him like a top 5 or top 7 player in the Prem or stuff like that. I feel like I don't really agree with that stuff. I feel like there's games with Cherki where he doesn't really do as much. But I still think he's a good player, and he got a fairly good finish today with his goal. And Haaland coming back in goal scoring return. I mean, he was obviously rested in his last game. I'm blanking on who City faced. Wolves. City plays Wolves, and Marmoush started over Haaland, and I think Haaland definitely needed that rest because it was very obvious that he was tired, and a lot of his the main reason for his lack of form was just his exhaustiveness. So I think that rest definitely helped him, and he got a goal. So I feel like he's gonna try his best to translate that into the Prem and start scoring more goals from the Prem. And lastly with Spurs, I feel like Spurs are the biggest example of teams where there's like a team that can do well in like knockout styles or like those types of formats, but they're not good in the league. I feel like maybe it's depending on like the teams that Spurs face and just how the system works against them. Like I feel like with the Spurs in the Prem are probably one of the worst teams you can ever watch in the history of football, and a lot of Spurs fans agree with that as well, and they want Frank Al and stuff. But in the UCL, Spurs are pretty impressive. They're top 4, and it's surprising. I didn't honestly predict Tottenham to reach this high. I feel like in the later stages of the knockouts, I feel like they'll probably face tough teams, and I don't think they'll do too well against them. Honestly, I feel like there's teams that will probably beat Tottenham, but again, with the league phase so far, I think it's pretty impressive from them to reach this high. I feel like not many people really expected this, especially with how they're doing the league. But I think that just shows that some teams there are teams that just do well in one competition but not well in the other. I feel like a team like we mentioned before, Napoli, are an example of that. I feel like they're very good in the Serie A, but in the UCL we saw that they weren't as good. I think another team like that is like Villarreal, who is good in La Liga. They're pretty strong side in La Liga, but in the UCL they've been very very bad. And I feel like a lot of people set high expectations for them that they just didn't reach, and they kind of just didn't have a good tournament.
Yeah, let's move on to PSV and Bayern game. I mean, obviously, I expected Bayern to win the game comfortably because we've seen how they dominate like these kind of like smaller level teams. And yeah, I mean, with Bayern, I feel like the biggest like result for them is Musiala coming back and scoring a goal. Obviously, they missed Musiala for so long, and having him come back and scoring a goal in this type of game is really crucial. And I also want to comment here on the second goal in this game, the Saibari goal. I mean, that was might be the UCL goal of the match day because, what a goal that was as well, Saibari. And, fortunately for Bayern, Kane came on and got that winner. So they do get the win against PSV. And I still feel like they're one of the best teams in the UCL. They won 7-1, and obviously they only lost to the team above them, Arsenal. So you really can't blame them too much for that. But again, I feel like with Bayern, they're going to be one of the hardest teams to beat in this season's UCL, and it's going to be interesting to see how they do going forward. But also another really important game I feel for the top 8 was Sporting versus Bilbao. Again, I think Sporting winning this game at the end was the reason that Madrid actually got knocked out of the top 8. So Sporting getting that late winner was really important to see. Obviously at first there was many times where Bilbao were actually winning this game. So I think Sporting really clutched up. I think they got that winner, and it's really surprising to see them actually get into the top 8. And obviously players like Trincao, he scored today, and I think Luis Suarez is really important for them. So It's going to be interesting to see how they do as well. I think who's the manager of them? It's Rui Borges. So obviously he took over after Amram, and I feel like I don't know how these sporting managers they do well. And obviously Amram left, and it feels like Sporting still are doing well in the UCL at least. But let's see what happens with them. And yeah, just the most important thing from this game, obviously Sporting finishing seventh in the top eight, and Madrid are pushed down to ninth. But yeah, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, with the Sporting game, I mean, I think I even mentioned like in the last UCL video that I have Sporting as one of the teams that I think can make a very strong run and a surprising run. And I think, you know, I think Sporting does have some strong players. Like, Trincao got a goal today, so I think, Sporting are not a side to really underestimate. And with Bilbao, I feel like Bilbao have been pretty disappointing. I feel like Bilbao have this like certain standard that I guess maybe I hold to them, or maybe like there's a lot of people in general hold to them. Because in La Liga, I feel like they're a pretty like they're a side that you can't really underestimate because they have some good players that can do things that can, like, they're not easy team to face. And they have like Unai Simon, who I think is a very good keeper. But yeah, I just think in the UCL they built a bit disappointing and they got knocked out. And I feel like Bilbao, I mean, they could have won. They were close to winning the game, but Sporting were able to get the come back and get the winner. I feel like that's very impressive on them. I think just Sporting have been a pretty impressive team in the UCL so far. I feel like not many people probably expected like this type of run from Sporting so far, but yeah, I think fair play to them. Congrats to Sporting. I feel like they're a pretty solid side that I think can do so pretty well in the knockouts. So I'm honestly excited to see what they do. And then about the Bayern game, honestly, I think with Bayern they rotated very heavily anyway. So I feel like there wasn't going to be some completely dominating game from Bayern, but they still were able to get the win, and they placed second in the league phase. So yeah, I feel like Bayern is just the team that they're definitely one of the best teams in the world right now. I feel like I would have them as one of the favorites because I feel like with them they're very good at they're probably one of the better attacking teams in the world right now. So they're very good at that, and when I watch them, at least they play pretty fluid, and they have a lot of great players. I mean, Musiala is back and he got the goal today. Kane got a goal off the bench, so I feel like they have these players that can make some huge impacts and like individual brilliance. And their squad overall is just pretty solid, so I feel like they're definitely a team to watch out for. And with PSV, I mean, PSV got eliminated, and honestly, I feel like PSV, I thought they would do better. I feel like they're still a solid team, but I guess they weren't able to because I remember they had a pretty strong start in the UCL where they were getting some pretty cool results, but I guess it didn't really last. I mean, I remember the game versus Napoli where they outplayed Napoli and dominated, but it didn't last. So yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like PSV they were really inconsistent at the end. Obviously, that 6-2 win versus Napoli was like their standout performance, but again, they had like 3 losses in a row against Atletico Madrid, Newcastle, and then unfortunately Bayern Munich. So yeah, they didn't make it into the top 24. But other notable results that happened, obviously Inter versus Dortmund. I think Inter were expected to win this game. I think they're more consistent. They've like been winning more games than Dortmund. Obviously, Dortmund coming off the Spurs loss in the UCL, I think that was pretty shocking from them. And again, Inter secured 10th with this win. They got 2 late goals, so I mean it's really important for them, I guess, to get those goals and finishing high in the playoff section because it does mean that they play lower feed teams. But again, yeah, Inter winning that game, I think important for them. And then another important game, PSG Newcastle, which ended up in a draw. Honestly, yeah, I mentioned like we expected one of these teams to fall out of the top 8 because if either team wins, it would mean they finish in the top 8 and then the other finishes outside. But yeah, this game was honestly frustrating for both sides because they both end up finishing outside the top 8. The PSG finished in 11 and the Newcastle finished in 12. So honestly, yeah, shocking. I expected PSG to win this game because they are a stronger team, I feel. But again, Dembele missed that penalty, and then Vitinha scored a goal, and then obviously Willock scores before halftime. But again, both teams just stay out of the top 8, so that's pretty crazy to see. And then again, another result, Club Brugge versus Marseille. Again, like Club Brugge dominated, I feel like they're also one of the dark horses because they've had a couple like crazy results against big teams, and winning 3-0 against Marseille is really not that easy because we have seen Marseille actually do well in the UCL so far, but they with this loss they are actually knocked out of the UCL, and Club Brugge move on. So let's see what happens with Club Brugge. But other than that, nothing really too much. I mean, do you want to comment here on those games, Rajesh?
Yeah, like you mentioned with Club Brugge, I feel like when I saw them versus Barca, I think they were pretty impressive and they were able to get the draw. So I feel like they're definitely a team that have some pretty underrated players that people probably don't know much about. But I feel like they're a team that like I said, is a dark horse going into the the rest of the tournament. And yeah, they had a pretty good win. I mean, it seemed like a pretty dominating win from Club Brugge's end. And I mean, with Marseille, I think we kind of mentioned it. We kind of got disappointed from the way Marseille ended the tournament because I felt like they were pretty, like at the start, they were pretty solid. So I thought they could have done a bit more. I mean, they had some good players. I mean, Aubameyang, I think, had a pretty good tournament for his age. He's still a good player. This other player, I forgot, I don't really pronounce his name, but Axels, I don't really pronounce his name, but he also was getting goals at the start of the tournament. So I feel like Marseille had these players that could have done something, but I guess like as the tournament progressed, they kept on losing and they just were they got knocked out eventually. And with the Inter and Dortmund game, honestly, I feel like I was a bit disappointed by Dortmund. I feel like Dortmund had these players that I thought could get the win. I mean, I thought someone like Guirassy could have made a huger impact, but I guess he wasn't really able to. And I feel like Dortmund have been pretty weak as of lately, especially in like the UCL. I feel like they haven't been doing as good as I thought they would be. And I mean, I guess looking at like Schlotterbeck, pretty interesting in Schlotterbeck. I feel like I still think he's a very good player, but I feel like he should leave Dortmund because I feel like with a player like his caliber, I feel like he could do better. But yeah, I guess they weren't able to. And with Inter, I feel like Inter are just a better side, like you mentioned. I feel like this whole season so far, Inter definitely been one of the better sides in the UCL, and especially in like the Italian league. And they have a lot of good players. And I mean, they did lose to Arsenal in the last week, but they're still I think they're still a pretty top team. And DeMarco recently has been getting some goal contributions. I'm still not really, I'm not too convinced about him just yet. I don't think he's like a top 3 left back or anything. I still think he's pretty solid though for Inter, and he's definitely very good with their system, the way Inter play. And Inter also have other players like Bastoni, who's super good, and they got Kanji, they got I don't think Lautaro played today, but he's definitely a good player. I think he's still a good player. I don't think he's been too impressive though, but I think he's still a good player. And I don't think Barella played, but I know Barella's just a super good player as well. So yeah, I just feel like Inter is definitely a strong team. And going to the knockouts, I feel like they can be a scary team to face because they have some good defenders, but they're also good at like attacking and like the way they play. I mean, it's not the same as last season, but with the new manager, I feel like they can still be a threatening team to face. And I don't know if you talked about the Leverkusen Villarreal game. I don't remember, but about
you
that
can
game.
mention that, yeah.
Yeah, the Leverkusen. I think Leverkusen. The result kind of shows it. Leverkusen dominated, and I feel like Villarreal, like I said before, aren't an impressive team. I feel like in the UCL they haven't been good at all. I mean, and it's kind of sad to see because I see in the Liga they've been a pretty strong team, but I guess not all teams can translate that into these types of like tournaments. So yeah, I feel like Leverkusen have been a pretty. I mean, I know they've been kind of big on like they have been too consistent. So I feel like not many people have them as like a dark horse. Like you don't like really see them going too far into the tournament. But I still think that they have some good players. I mean, Grimaldo I think has been huge for them this season. He's gonna get a goal contribution as a wing back, and I feel like he's such a crucial player. And I mean with Leverkusen, because they lost a lot of key pieces in like the summer where like Frimpong left, Warsaw, they both won in Liverpool, but I believe Boniface left, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And then I feel like their team got super weak, so I feel like it's not too surprising to see them not get the results that they got before. But yeah, I mean I don't think they'll go too far, like from what I see at least, but I still think they're like an okay-ish team. I feel like The win versus Villarreal, I wasn't really too surprised. I feel like Villarreal just been too bad in the UCL to really put up anything else.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with this, I feel like the biggest winners after this whole league phase was obviously Arsenal. I feel like going with the perfect record is going to be massive for them, like confidence wise. I feel like they're really going to believe in themselves that they can do it in Europe. Obviously, they don't have like much experience, going to the UCL, but I think going 8 for 8 is really not that easy. They play teams like Atletico Madrid and Bayern, so again, really not easy to do that. So credit to them. I feel like they're going to have a lot of confidence going to them on the 16. But also Barca, I feel like they also have a lot of confidence because there was a lot of struggles. Like maybe they couldn't finish in the top 8, but I feel like clutching up, especially in that later half, I feel like that's going to be important for their confidence and mentality going forward under Flick. I feel like Benfica as well. You have to mention because 98th minute goalkeeper goal to jump out entirely at the 24th and jump into the playoffs is going to be really important. And I honestly want to see them continue to do well because it just feels like a crazy storyline for them. And another one, Chelsea, I feel like they also are gonna be happy with what happened because they were from a risky position. They were even losing in this game, and to come back and win the game to secure top 8 is gonna be really important. And obviously Napoli, being knocked out is gonna be important for them. But yeah, Chelsea. I mean, I just feel like they're gonna continue to do well if they go into knockout type of format. I feel like they are a knockout type of team, and in the big games they might turn up. So yeah, let's see what happens with them. But the biggest losers, honestly, from this match day, I feel like Real Madrid, obviously, you have to mention. Obviously, it felt like it was easy for them to. All they had to do was just win the game or even draw to finish in the top 8. But losing this game 4-2, honestly, is crazy. And yeah, especially in the 98th minute, losing that header to Trubin is crazy as well. So yeah, Madrid finishing ninth is probably a big loss for them. Napoli as well, obviously, they lost at home, so obviously crashing out of the UCL is not a good look for them. Also, Marseille, I feel like missing on playoffs because of the goal difference and obviously getting smacked up by Club Brugge is going to be, it's kind of crazy for them. I feel like they were doing well, but yeah, who are your biggest winners and losers of the match day, Brajesh?
Yeah, I think you kind of summed it up nice. So I feel like Barca and Arsenal are Barca, Benfica, Arsenal, Sporting, Tottenham as well, Club Brugge, and Chelsea. Those are like the main. I guess City as well, and maybe Liverpool as well. Like all those are just the main winners because they've got themselves in a pretty good position where they're pretty good on the table, and also they got results that maybe got them to like the UCL. Like with Benfica, they got the right result to get themselves right into the qualifying knockout qualifiers. And with Sporting and Barca, I mean, both teams really wanted the top 8, and they were able to get the win. And also, luckily, teams like PSG and Newcastle, they both drew to each other, and then Madrid lost, and so that helped those two get into the top 8. Same with Chelsea. Chelsea also got a big win against Napoli, who, like you said, were kind of leading, and then Chelsea were able to get it back. So I think a lot of these teams are going to high confidence right now, just being in a good position for the UCL, because I feel like this is a team that aren't. This is not a team, but I feel like a lot of teams want to win the UCL. Obviously, it's like the biggest European, like, it's the biggest club trophy. It's the biggest club trophy in like the sport, in European sport. So yeah, obviously a lot of teams are going to be super hungry for it. So yeah, and with the losers, I mean Madrid, obviously with the 2 red cards, which now that they're in the bottom, they're outside top 8, they'll have to deal with those red cards in the knockout qualifiers, and they may even get a hard opponent because the teams outside top 8 aren't easy teams. There's still some pretty big teams in there, and I think also I think Atalanta was a bit of a loser. I thought they were honestly going to close to be getting top 8, but they weren't able to. So it was kind of surprising seeing them lose like that. I thought they would have done a bit better, but yeah, it was kind of crazy seeing them lose like that to a team like Union St. Gilles, who I thought would have lost to Atalanta. I think PSG and Newcastle are both losers because they're both outside top 8 now, and I feel like I thought both of them are top 8 beforehand, and then going to this they drew and they both got knocked out. So I feel like that's just bad for both of them. So yeah, I just think that's just not a desirable result, obviously, for them.
Yeah,
And
obviously,
yes,
just overall.
yeah, yeah.
Overall, I mean, everything. Honestly, this match day was crazy. All the 18 games at the same time. I feel like was a chaotic format for the fans that were viewing all the games. And I think the major games that we saw were obviously the Madrid game, Barça, Napoli, Chelsea, and obviously the PSG Newcastle game. But I mean, looking forward, obviously the knockout playoffs. The draw is going to be on Friday, so we'll see. That's going to clear up like which team could play which round of 16 team. So that's what's going to be interesting. But before we wrap it up, do you want to do like a player kind of thing or a team kind of thing, like a dark horse or stand-up player or something like that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Chelsea dark horse to win the UCL.
What?
Chelsea dark horses to win the UCL.
they're not dark
I mean,
horse.
that's your opinion. I mean, they're not really dark horses, yeah.
No, Chelsea, like, honestly, they're not like on the same level as teams like Arsenal, PSG. Who else should we say? Teams like
Those are more like favorites than dark horses. A dark
Yeah.
horse would be like a Club Brugge type team.
No, Club Brugge is not a dark horse at all.
How
Are
are
you
they not a
sure,
dark
bro?
horse?
No, a closer team would be something like Galatasaray. Honestly, Galatasaray or Benfica. Those are closer than Club Brugge.
They're
How are they
top-
worse than
they're-
Club Brugge? Club Brugge has been better, honestly.
Those are like better dark horses in a team like Club Brugge to say.
Well, we'll give our opinion on who we think should be like a dark horse. Like we'll talk about that later. So I mean, I'll talk about players actually, like standout players this week. I have to mention the one and only Lamine Yamal. I feel like today it was just it's a world class performance. I feel like we both kind of talked about it already, like earlier on in this episode, but he definitely, like, his individual brilliance is such high quality, and I feel like it definitely helped Barca to get the result. And I think overall he was super good. I mean, with the absence of Pedro and De Jong, I think him coming up big is super helpful. And again, he's just proving why he's a generational talent. So if I go to 5 standout players this week specifically, so yeah, Lamine Yamal would be one of them. Let me think. Okay, I'll take Gyökeres because I feel like Gyökeres this season he's been pretty, like, he's not been a good signing or player, but he got a goal and assist versus Kera, who even though they haven't been a pretty bad team, I feel like him getting those two goal contributions just helped Arsenal get the 8 out of 8. So I feel like I'll just give him some credit. Another player I want to mention is I don't know how to say his name properly again, but the Bodo Glimt striker Hol, who coming off the great game against City, he's able to get the winner versus Atleti, who I think that's a huge thing for Bodo Glimt, even though I believe they're knocked out, right? I need to check again. Oh
No, Bodo Glimt, they made it in.
They're just in it. Yeah, they're just in it. And I feel like that win definitely helped them. And against Atleti, who are, Atleti are still a strong side. I mean, I think a lot of people probably Atleti winning and going to this game. And I saw the whole Sorloth video of him explaining Norway and like that stuff. And Atleti were even leading the game, and then for Bodo Glimt to come back and get themselves into the top 24, I think it's impressive. And I think I didn't watch the game, but I feel like just that goal and his form recently, I feel like he's been big for Bodo Glimt, and I feel like just like stand out, because I don't want too many obvious players. I'll just give him some credit for sure. And besides that, let me just see. I mean, I'll go with João Pedro, who got the brace. I think that definitely helped. That win versus Napoli was so huge for Chelsea to get them into the top 8, and just a good win against a good team. So definitely have to give João Pedro his credit there. And for my last one, I don't really know. I have to give it to Trubin. I feel like that goalkeeper goal is just, like I said, it's one of the more, probably one of the most iconic goals we'll see in UCL recent time. Cause just like the context and like how that helped Benfica get just into the top 24, and beating Madrid like that in that style. is just super iconic. So I feel like you have to give him props because I think watching the goal live was just super insane.
Yeah, I just want to talk about the Bodo Glimt thing situation because their run in the last three games is actually crazy because before this they were actually down and out. It looked like they were going to easily get knocked out, but last three games they had Dortmund, City, and Atletico Madrid, and getting a draw against Dortmund, win against City, and then again win against Atletico Madrid. It just saved their season in the UCL at least, and I feel like honestly they're standout mention because I think their story has also been pretty crazy in recent form. But for my standout players, I'm kind of similar to you. I'd mentioned Yamal in there. I think today again he just showed his quality. João Pedro has to get a shot because I think that goal he scored and then also getting that brace again really really important. Trubin obviously because that goal again unforgettable. I feel like that's gonna last in the UCL for so long. Honestly, shout out to also Van Dijk because he got 3 assists and a clean sheet. I mean, that's a pretty crazy feat to see. And for my last player, honestly, there's no one really stand out other than that. I'd probably give it to Solanke. Why not? Because I think since coming back, he's gotten a couple important goals for Spurs. So yeah, I'll just say that.
Wait, wait, what were your top five again?
So Yamal, Trubin, João Pedro, Van Dijk, and Solanke.
Oh, okay. And then we want to move on to the dark. Wait. Hayden, do you want to give your top five?
Yeah, so we're including league and UCL, I'm assuming. So
What do you mean?
Just
entire
this
league?
UCL game week. Is this no? Just this just today. Just today.
Oh, it's just today? Okay. So my top five, honestly, because Chelsea was like really the only game I honestly was like watching fully, I'd have to have Enzo and João Pedro up there. Based on what I saw from that Trubin goal, I also have to put him up there as well. He looked like, just reading off his stats, honestly, he made some good saves. He faced an XG of 2.23, you have to add him there. Based on the way the Barca fans are hyping up Lamine Yamal, I'd have to there too, I guess. And honestly, no one else really stood out for me, maybe other than Van Dijk, again, based off stats. Hat-trick assists and a clean sheet. So I'd have to, and also he looked like he had an XG of in total, what was it? I forgot, but he looked like he was about to score a goal too. So I guess those are my five.
Don't you think someone like Mbappe's brace today is more impressive than Enzo's pen, or even like,
Okay,
like
so first of all, you
Holland
just
is very
discrediting it to just him playing today just because of a pen is low key kind of crazy. Again, because we could see the same Mbappe just low key tapping goals and not doing much for the rest of the game. Enzo was brilliant off the ball. He helped us a lot, set up a lot of plays today too. From again, haven't really seen Mbappe, but again, he did score a brace that kind of led to nothing. So if you want, I guess I'll put him as like a sixth man, I guess, or swap him for Virgil.
I just mean there's other
Okay.
players I think were impressive.
Yeah, we have Harmon as well. Other Chelsea fan, he wants to pitch in.
Yeah, so I would 100% put João Pedro in there, but I think the Enzo thing is just pure bias. Like, yeah, he scored a pen, it was a great pen, and he was still good, but he was nothing special today. And I think just putting him in the top five standout things is just pure bias, and even putting him in the same conversation with players like João Pedro's performances today.
You want to give your top five?
Yeah. I'll go. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go João Pedro for sure. Who else would I put in there? I'd put Mbappe, even though Real Madrid did lose. I'm just basing it off the players' performances. Then I guess I'll go Lamine Yamal.
Okay.
And I'll go Lamine Yamal with a goal and assist to take Barcelona to the top 8. And I'm actually gonna go with I'm gonna go with a little niche pick, and I'm gonna say Cole Palmer, who came off the bench. I think he was very important against against Napoli, especially because I think in the second half they sat back a lot more, and he's like the only player in the Chelsea squad who can really break down low blocks. And he ended up getting 2 assists as well, which to João Pedro. And yeah, he was definitely better than Enzo this game. And I said how many players? I said 4. Oh, then the other
Yeah.
one, I'll go Van Dijk for sure. Clean sheet, 3 assists as a center back. That's just crazy. I gotta put him there.
I think Palmer's a pretty good shout. I think I saw a lot of Chelsea fans praising Palmer's like cameo because I think he came off the bench, right, and he got the 2 assists. So
Yeah,
against Napoli, I feel like that's huge. And I think I mentioned like earlier, like in this podcast, that if Palmer if he gets like back in the top form, I think Chelsea can go like a long way, like just doing well like the rest of the games because he's definitely probably one of your better players. On his day, he's probably your best player, or like, at least top 2, I think.
I'd
No.
say best. Yeah, for sure, 100% on his day, of course.
On his day, it's easily Reece James. It's crazy to put Palmer above him.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm just gonna. Yeah. I'm not gonna listen to this guy.
And then you talk about
Do you want to say your top 5, Piyush? I can edit that out.
I guess.
Okay, so we have
Brother.
Piyush talking for our other Barca fan. He's gonna give his top 5 as well.
So, I mean, first of all, I think you gotta go Lamine Yamal. His performance today was just amazing, I would say. And then second, I guess I'll put João Pedro. 2 goals, got the winner against Napoli. And then I think you gotta put Van Dijk there. As Harman said, 3 assists at center back and the clean sheet. I know it's against Karabakh, but that's just crazy. And then fourth, I think you just gotta go Trubin for that last minute winner against Real Madrid, which actually pushed them from 25th and 24th. That's 4. And then 5th, I don't even know, to be honest.
Marco, Turkey, Holland.
Okay, and give DeMarco free kick.
DeMarco, his recent form, like not even this game, his past form has been really good. And I think like the first time I was on this podcast, I think he said he's a top 3 left back. And I stand my ground. And so yeah, I guess I'll put DeMarco best.
Okay, I guess we move on to
Okay.
like the dark horses and like the teams that, or maybe like favorites and dark horses, and like just the different teams that we think can maybe do well. So
Okay, so let's do only
Well,
one
sir.
club for each category, and you can't pick your own clubs. That's gonna be biased.
wait, so what are the categories like? I know
Or
favorites,
just like
dark
so one
horse,
favorite and one dark horse, and what else?
underrated or
Is there-
that's dark horse.
Yeah.
How about what about one flop or like a team we think won't do well?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
You go first.
So for me, my dark horse honestly would be Benfica. I want to see them do well under Mourinho. I think this win against Madrid is going to really like push them up, and I feel like whoever they play in the knockout playoff, it could be interesting. But that's kind of a storyline kind of pick. I feel like another underrated pick, although they've been doing really well, Sporting. I just feel like again, under their new manager after Amram, I feel like they're doing really well. Favorite for me, that's not Barca. Honestly, I would just go simple. I'd go Arsenal because again, it just feels like even though if they don't play well, they have that set piece kind of strategy that save them in games, and it feels like again, I think that United game was kind of like the worst fixture for them this season. I feel like they really they are gonna pick up form in the UCL at least, and going 8 for 8 it's really not that easy. So yeah, they're up for my favorites so far. And for what was the other category?
The flops or like the team you think like won't do well.
Okay.
Maybe like upset. Maybe I don't know.
Okay, upsets. I'm not gonna be biased, but Chelsea, I think they are actually gonna do maybe well. But upsets, honestly, I could see PSG crashing out early. Honestly, I feel like they've been really inconsistent, and I feel like if they're obviously in the knockouts now, so I think either they could go out in the knockouts, not reach that round of 16, or they could face a harder team and then now get into the quarterfinals.
Okay, I guess I can go next. So for like the favorites, like I'll say Barca, but because I can't say Barca, I'll just say if I go Bayern. I think Bayern have like such a good system and like such a great attacking team that I think they can dominate a lot of teams and just outscore them. And I feel like they're a scary team to face because they have so many good players who are in form and a lot of players returning back, like Musiala, like Davies gonna get incorporated back in the locked into the starting 11. And Kane, who's great form, I think Elise is a very good player as well. Carl, who's good. So I feel like our Bayern have a lot of these good players that I think could do a pretty strong run into the UCL. For my dark horse, I would say Sporting, but I feel like it's kind of unfair to say calling them a dark horse now because they're in the top 8 and they've been like pretty impressive. So I'll go with like I think Club Brugge honestly will be my dark horse because I'm just impressed by the way they play. I think they have a lot of good players, pretty like talented players, and they're pretty cool to watch. So I feel like they could do a strong run. I feel like those players are getting confidence, doing well in the UCL. I saw a video of them post the win today of how like happy they looked, qualifying and stuff. So I feel like they can definitely do something. Hopefully they can impress people because I feel like they're a good team. And for my upset, I'm gonna say Arsenal. I feel like whenever I watch Arsenal, I feel like they just don't perform, and I feel like they just look so like, and they don't look convincing in my opinion. And I feel like, they definitely had some pretty good performance in the UCL. Like they beat Bayern, they beat Atleti, they're 8-8. But I think when the knockouts come, I feel like cause like in this season, a lot of the teams in the knockouts are like super strong. I feel like it's not ridiculous to say that a team can beat Arsenal across 2 legs. I mean, I forget off the top of my head like the possible teams that Arsenal can face, but let's say a team like Juve somehow face Arsenal. I feel like Juve can definitely give them a run for their money. I feel like Juve also have some good players that can make a difference. Some like a Yildiz, and those like Yildiz and like other players that Juve have, maybe even Jonathan David. But yeah, I just think I feel like Arsenal coming first will definitely set them as like a favorite and like a high expectation, but I feel like they won't live up to that. And I would love to see Barca play Arsenal. I think Barca would be Arsenal across 2 legs. So I feel like there's teams in this competition that could be Arsenal in 2 legs. So I just feel like they won't like live up to the expectation that they kind of built this season so far.
Okay, decent shouts. Hatem, you want to give your picks? Hatem?
I think he's been occupied.
Oh, hey, what was the question? Sorry.
So you gotta pick your underrated team. You gotta pick your flop of the tournament that you could see happening, and then also what's the other one?
Your favorites, but you can't say Chelsea because you're Chelsea fan.
Yeah.
Don't worry. So, obviously, an underrated team in the tournament. I'm pretty sure this goes for a lot of people. They haven't really been like too hyped up in this UCL tournament, but I'd honestly have to say Atalanta. The last time we played them, it was honestly a very hard battle. Again, yes, they did lose some easy fixtures that they should have won. Like against Union, they lost, and against Athletic Club, they lost today, was it? So they just barely scraped round of 16. But at the same time, they did put up a hard fight versus Chelsea, and just seeing them, it was crazy underrated how we walked into that game thinking, it might just be a simple fixture versus Atalanta. But again, it was a very, very tough battle, and we lost by
I don't know
one.
why you would think that. Sorry to interrupt, but I don't know why you would think that against Atalanta.
No. When I say easy, I didn't think like, oh, this is like West Ham level. I was thinking like, this isn't going to be one of those fixtures where like we don't have to go like full out, like it's like a big club like Arsenal or something. Like we thought it was I thought it was more so on the calmer end.
I feel like with
that's
that,
why I was saying I underrate it.
It's a bit of a dangerous mindset. I feel like with that, I feel like that's just a dangerous mindset because I feel like in the UCL, a lot of teams really do turn up and like they have a lot of fight for it because the UCL for some clubs is a rare opportunity, and it's an opportunity for them to display to like the world, and especially Europe and stuff, like how good they are and they can put up results against big teams. I mean, with the Barça and Copenhagen game today, I didn't underestimate Copenhagen because I thought they would have been kind of hard to beat. And then in the first 5 minutes they scored a goal against Barca, so I feel like it's kind of dangerous going to a game thinking like, okay, this team, they haven't been like too good this season. Maybe they'll be an easy like calm win, but sometimes that's not always the case, and like teams can take you by surprise.
The Bears, and as I was saying, personally underrated them. So now I'm gonna see them as like a sleeper pick, honestly, for UCL. I do expect them to do somewhat good. And for an overrated team, I know this may sound a lot biased. People are gonna say, "Oh, I'm just a hater for this," but I truly believe I do see Barcelona crashing out. And just for this, like for honest reason, I'm not even trying to be like, this is not even me trying to say it's PR or anything. But based on the way the defense has been moving, again, you do have a lot of players, especially in the back, that have been fluctuating recently. Sure, there are some that's just a like bad patch of form recently. Like Balde, he's been like kind of the entire season he hasn't been too bad, but he has been like hitting patches where like you wonder, hey, should he start this game over the likes of someone like Gerard Martin at left back, or like even players like Frankie De Jong. Again, now he's back in that form where he looked good, but then there's times where you wonder, hey, is this guy even good or not? And again, players who have consistently been doing not so good this season, like Kubarsi and Kunde, honestly, they've led to a lot of mistakes for Barcelona, like some really sketchy and dodgy ones too.
Sorry, can
So
I
those
can I
are,
interrupt?
yeah, sure.
I don't think once this season anyone has said that Balde should be banned for Jordan Martin. I feel like Balde. I think he's been pretty
No,
solid this season
it's been said a
actually.
lot based on what I've seen online
By
from a
who?
lot of Barca fans.
I think that
I've
sounds like
never heard
media
that.
all the time. Yeah, I haven't seen that either honestly. And I follow Barca close on Twitter. I feel like the left back position. I think Balde has always been the starter in like all the big games that the Barca want to win, and maybe like against maybe like teams that aren't like as like say like a Copa del Rey team that's like the second division. I think Balde may not even start that game because just to rest him. But in a big game, Balde is going to always start as left back. And with De Jong, I disagree with their De Jong statement. I feel like De Jong has been class for Barca this season. I think he's been pretty underrated by some fans because I see a lot of hate for him online. It's kind of like agenda stuff, honestly, but I think he's been super good. I mean, when Pedro was injured, during that period, he actually came up clutch. I mean, besides the Chelsea game, because that was probably that was his worst game this season. Besides that, he's actually been pretty good, and he kind of filled in, the roles that Pedro did, and I think he did it very well. And even in his recent games, I think De Jong has been very very good as well. So I would say there's no question about De Jong and his talent and just how good he is.
And again, hate to lie, I kind of find it interesting that the two teams you picked for like your underrated team was Atalanta, who beat you guys, and then again Barca you picked because I don't know, you have some agenda against us.
No,
But
I even
whatever. I
said,
mean,
first of all, starting it off, again, it's going to look funny, but it's not some agenda. It's based on what I've seen and how you guys been playing against, hard fixers and teams that, like, honestly violate the high line. And I'm wondering if Flick, isn't versatile with, like, changing it, or at least having some tweak to the high line. It's going to be quite easy to find out in the future, especially moving on into the round of 16 currently and onwards.
No, honestly, I can also see Hayden's point because I feel like Barca's defense has been so bad that even today Barca conceded a goal in 5 minutes. I feel like Barca in the start of games just lose concentration, and it's just so risky playing that way. And even like last UCL, like in like the game versus Inter, Barca conceded 7 goals across 2 legs. I feel like I think the UCL is like anything can happen. So I mean, I can see Hayden's point, even though I disagree with it. I kind of see his point of view because I think Barca like usually defense can win you games, and all the UCL winners, like especially recent history, like the past 2 decades, all their defenses have been super good. And Barca's backline right now, it has like Gerard Martin, Kubarsi, who I think are good players, but obviously they're not like top quality caliber UCL winning caliber players. Like I just feel like it's a bit shaky still. But I think with Barca though, the difference is that Barca have a very good midfield and a very good attack that can win games. So yeah, personally, I think Barca could probably win the UCL, but I can definitely see Ethan's point because Barca do have some weaknesses that I think teams can easily exploit.
yeah, I do agree with Hatem, honestly. Like, even though like our attack and midfield are so good, I mean, our defense in general. I've mentioned it before. Like even the UCL, like if we don't fix up, it could easily lead to like an early round exit because it just isn't sustainable in the UCL at least. And yeah, I just feel like I do agree. Like if we don't fix up, it's going to be interesting to see. Like we won't do that well in the UCL, but just saying like Barca as a flop is kind of crazy. But Harmon, you want to give your 3 picks?
Oh, he has to give his favorite. He didn't give his favorite.
Oh wait, Hatem, who's your favorite? That's not Chelsea.
That's not my Chelsea. I'm sorry, my favorite. That's not Chelsea. Damn, that's hard. Honestly, I'd have to say Bayern. They've been moving this UCL. I've honestly always rated Bayern. I've always thought they're an amazing team. It's honestly between them and Arsenal this season for the UCL. They're the two, like in my opinion, the two highest contenders. They've both been equally steady in this UCL. They've both honestly never looked too shaky, except for like that one Bayern match which they played against Arsenal, which showed Arsenal again, unfortunately, is the best team in the world. Other than that, I've enjoyed Arsenal ball. I loved seeing the way Harry Kane drops deep and tempos the game in like midfield slot as well. I've seen even Olise, the way he's dribbling through players and the way even their new signing was deep with his pace and his acceleration, moving down the wing. Overall, this team has been amazing to watch, and I see them as favorites.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty good. I think Bayern again. I agree with you. Like they are a really strong team. I just feel like sometimes in games that can be inconsistent. Like we've seen the loss to Augsburg, and they also lost to Arsenal. So I just feel like yeah they are favorites, but it's kind of inconsistent. They could be, but yeah. Armin, do you want to say your favorite team? That's not Chelsea. Your underrated pick, and then also your flop of the tournament.
Okay. I'll start off with the favorite. I think I'm gonna go with Bayern Munich. I think overall they have the squad. They have an elite attack. I think some of them. I think some of them can show up in the big games for sure. Like we saw Luis Diaz brace against PSG. But I think overall Bayern just have a good attack, midfield, and defense, and obviously them as my favorites. Flop. Now I think I'll go with PSG because I mean I know they were in the playoffs last year and they ended up winning it, but I just don't think they're gonna be able to do that again, and especially with a heavy schedule and their round of 16 fixture looking very difficult, either being Chelsea or Barca. And yeah, I just don't think they're gonna be able to keep up this form because I think Donnarumma also bailed them out a lot last season. Like for example, that one Saka shot and that one Rashford shot. And then dark horse, you said. I think I'll go. I don't know, to be honest. I'll say. I mean, would you consider Sporting a dark horse or no? Because they are top.
Yeah, I mentioned them. Yeah.
Okay.
You
Okay.
could,
Then I'll say Sporting. I think overall they have some. They did get top 8, which shows their good forms. They beat PSG as well, beating big teams. And I definitely think they have the players, such as Trincao and then Luis Suarez, who I think is a very good striker. And yeah.
Armin, what do you think about Olympiacos? Because we're doing bad at the start of the UCL, but the last 3 games they won all the games and they just made it into their 18th right now on the table, so they just qualified. So how do you think they do?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna act like I've watched them play football, so I don't know. To be honest.
Okay, I mean, from my side versus Barca, they weren't that good. I mean, Barca completely dominated them, but like I said, I haven't watched games like you like of Olympiacos, but I think they can do it okay. I think they could be a pretty like scary team to face because I think they're coming off strong momentum. So yeah, I think they're a team to maybe just like keep an eye on for maybe.
Do you know any like 5 players from the team?
Yeah, I know Alkabi, who coming up from even AFCON from Morocco. He was a good player. I think he also covers Barca, so yeah, I think he's definitely I think he's a good player, honestly. And I watched a bit of his Morocco, but yeah, he was okay. And besides that, I don't really know any players, honestly.
I think Podence is also a shout. I think he had time at Wolves in the Premier League, but yeah, I think honestly they could be good. And I don't know how they're gonna do in the playoffs and stuff, but they might be a team to look out for. But Piyush, you want to give your 3 takes?
Wait, what am I saying?
So your favorite team?
Are you good, bro?
Hey, your favorite team that's not Barca, and then your dark horse or like underrated pick, and then your flop with a team you think will flop. So like a team that probably you think will do well, but you think will actually flop.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll do my favorite first, and I think I have to go City. I think Man City ball is just very beautiful, right? You got players like Turkey. You have a very good striker in Holland, right? And there's some people here who are biased towards Man City. I would say they underrate some of their players, but that's fine. So I'll go Man City. I think they just made it to the top 8 too. So yeah. And then number flop.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what are you gonna flop?
See, you guys might say this is like biased. Like, I don't really think so. I think Chelsea definitely flop early because Chelsea will get either PSG or Newcastle, which are two very tough fixtures for a team like Chelsea. So I think I just don't really see them making it out round 16 if they get PSG or Newcastle. So I'll say Chelsea, and then wait, what's the last one?
You're underrated.
Dark horse. Yeah, you're underrated. Dark horse. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm not thinking about this one.
I can give you some shouts. So I said Club Brugge. Dishon said Benfica, and then Harman said what's it called? Sporting. There's also like Galatasaray, Leverkusen if you count them as one. Them said Atlanta.
Okay, I guess I don't think the form has been too good
Bodo Glimt,
in the UCL or even in the league phase. But I think at the quality they have, I think I'll say Monaco. Like, I don't know how much Pogba's played. I don't think he's played that much. But we know how good he is. And Fati's there too, and he's been lining it up. So I think my underrated pick would be Monaco. I don't expect them to go too far. I think if they make it to the quarterfinals, that'd be good. But yeah.
I don't think Pogba.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's injured, yeah, but I don't know. They still have Fati and stuff, so.
But onto Fati, I don't think he's been too impressive because a lot of the goals I've seen him score are just pens, and I think he's also just hasn't been played much. But yeah, I remember watching Monaco versus Spurs, and I think Monaco actually dominated Spurs that game. And they still play like Akliuch, who I think is pretty good, and Zakari is decent. So I guess I can see your shout.
Yeah, I don't know how Monaco's gonna really do in the UCL, but we're gonna introduce my friend Madhav, who's our Arsenal rep. Madhav, you wanna give your 3 takes?
Favorite, I'm giving an underrated team, and then like who will flop from the Survivor Series.
Yeah, but your favorite can't be Arsenal.
Yeah, I won't say Arsenal. I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't even gonna say Arsenal. Like, I think we're a good team, but I don't know. I feel like just historically, right? And I feel like we need to win something first for me to have that kind of confidence. So I'm gonna be humble anyway. For my favorites, I'd probably also have to go with Bayern because they've played like some of the best attacking football. They came second, of course, in like the league phase, just behind us, and we beat them. But I still think they're really good. And I also like Push's pick for City. I know that they've had like some inconsistent results, but I think when all of them are firing, especially Holland, like they are the most dangerous club in England easily in terms of just the attacking personnel they have. And now they have some other talents like Semenyo, Cherki. Like, I think you add that and their team is even better. So it's kind of like in that mixed category right now between like favorites and kind of underrated for City. But my actual underrated pick would probably have to be, I would have to say like Juve is there, but I don't think that they're consistent enough. I would say maybe Newcastle, honestly. I feel like they've been better than people would expect from them in the UCL. And I think they had like a pretty rough game against Barcelona. Like, they conceded pretty late with a crazy Rashford goal, but they're a difficult team, and I've seen that in the Prem as well. And I think no team is going to enjoy going to St. James's Park. And I think that even showed when they had the group of death in, what was that, 23-24? They had a really hard group, and they almost made it out, right? I think Mbappe got a kind of a dodgy pen. I think it was against Livramento.
Very controversial.
Very controversial, right? And I think Newcastle, I think they can show like really high levels in the UCL, but we'll just have to see. And for my flops, I think I'm going to have to say Real Madrid. And I really say that, I don't think that they're going to come out like straight into the playoffs. Like, I think Benfica, if they face Benfica, there's a chance. But if they face Bodo Glimt, I think that they make it out of that. But I do think that they'll severely underperform. I think that's just what every result in the season so far has really showed us. So I would probably say like Real Madrid, but unless they figure it out somehow and they pull a miracle, but we'll see. But I think that's my flop.
Yeah, Madrid's a good shot because they're playing the qualifying game as well, and also they're losing Asensio and Rodrigo, who I think Rodrigo is a bit of a crucial part of their attack, and Asensio obviously is a part of their defense. And I think they've also been going through a lot of injuries and like stuff, and like you said, they haven't figured out stuff yet with the new manager, and just like
Right.
the dynamic is kind of off, so they can definitely lose early.
Would they wait? So are those two players suspended for both legs then?
I don't know if it's both legs, but for the
No, it's
first
only
game, for
one
sure.
leg.
Yeah,
Only
'cause
one
they
leg. I mean,
got
still,
reds.
that's really
Yeah,
bad for
it
them.
was.
Their attack has kind of been all over the place, and I don't know how to say their young right winger, the Matsustuno or something like that. I don't really know how to say it, but
Masatuna, yeah.
yeah, he's a good player. He has talent, but I just don't know if he can consistently produce that in like really, really big games, big occasions. I think Real Madrid are just way too scattered, and I think Mbappe said it after the game. He said straight away, like he put some, I think, blame on the whole team. There wasn't enough like passion. There wasn't enough like effort from the team. And you look at Benfica, they were really trying their hearts out, and I think that's why they got rewarded with what they did with a crazy Trubin goal. So yeah, I don't know if I can believe in Real Madrid this season.
Yeah, I feel like me and Deepak also talked about it in the past episode. I think after the Super Cup win, how we feel like Madrid have I feel like the locker room has a lot of egos. I think you can kind of tell like the players like even though players like Mbappe, Vini, and Giroud, they're really good players. They've won so much, so they have a right to have like an ego. But I feel like sometimes if you aren't doing well, you have to kind of drop the ego, because it's not then like there's no like you're not really how do I say it? It's hard to have an ego when you're not doing well, and you kind of don't deserve it at that point. So I feel like with Madrid, it feels like it's so like I feel like compared to like other teams where they feel more like a family, Madrid don't really feel like that. I feel like it's like more like individual, like players like trying to be try to be the best and like for themselves. I know a lot of Madrid fans, from what I've seen, some I've talked to, some of them turn on Mbappe because they feel like when Mbappe joined, he kind of put more care into himself rather than the actual team. Which, to be honest, I'm not sure if I fully agree with that, because I feel like Mbappe, because I think he's a boyhood Madrid fan, or like he's idolized, Ronaldo and all. But I feel like he wouldn't be the type of person to just take all the credit for himself, especially at a team like Madrid where he knows like there's such high standards and expectations. So yeah, but even though he's not having a good season, so I feel like a lot of Madrid's success this season so far has relied on Mbappe. So I feel like if they do well, it'll come from whether Mbappe does well or not.
Yeah, again with Madrid, I do see the take. I feel like again they've been inconsistent. I could see like them crashing out early because again losing to Benfica and stuff like that, it's just not gonna look good for them later in the tournament. And again, they are, as you said, like really Mbappe dependent. I feel like if Mbappe doesn't really perform, almost like it feels like Madrid don't have a chance to play well at times. But again, yeah, I just feel like overall a lot of us have like crazy takes. I feel like it's going to be interesting to see how they evolve throughout the UCL and which takes come true in fact. And yeah, let's see what happens with that. But that pretty much wraps up our UCL matchday review. Obviously, Arsenal going perfect, Madrid getting humbled, Benfica's goalkeeper getting a goal, and obviously Barca also getting the results, and Chelsea getting a big win. But yeah, that's the league phase done, and now the real Champions League knockouts begin. So let's see what happens with all the fixtures coming up, and also the draw on Friday. So that's going to be interesting to tune into. But yeah, let us know in the comments down below who was the biggest winner of Matchday 8. Who are you looking forward to see in the UCL? And yeah, which playoff tie do you want to see the most? But be sure to subscribe, follow on TikTok and stuff. And yeah, stay tuned. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.